Hi everybody, my name is Amelia and welcome back to my channel. So for today I wanted to do another working with video, and if you guys have seen my working with the Mystic Faerie tarot video, then this is kind of like the same thing. Essentially, I spend about a month with one deck and I film a few pieces of the process and show you guys, and we kind of learn more about the deck, how it works, and just this cool little like discussion slash preview, I guess, if you're interested in buying the deck, about how it works and some of the readings and meanings, etc. Now, the deck that we're working with today is the Solitary Witch Oracle. Now, this is a deck I got in Salem. I'll probably mention that a few times as we go into the rest of the video, but I did get it there, and it is a beautiful deck, and it's one of the few Oracle decks that, while not marking off everything on my must-haves for Oracle, it does have a lot of things that I really enjoy. As I'm filming the intro here, this is actually the end of my month-long journey with it, and before we get into it, I wanted to say that this last month has been very chaotic for me. Transit Pluto is at 0 degrees on my natal ascendant right now, so life is completely changing, but that's not all. I've had a lot of interesting astrological happenings, and this past month in general has been very difficult. So this video, while I don't dive into the hardships as often, there will be a lot of personal things brought up just because that's what this Oracle deck was helping me with throughout the last month. But anyway, before we get started, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you like it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this, and if you want to see me working with any of the other decks I have. I do have a deck collection video that you can watch to get an idea, and you can also request decks to work with or to see on camera. Anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, so here we are. This is the Oracle deck that I got in Salem. So this is the Solitary Witch Oracle by Lucy Cavendish and artwork by Lady Victoria. So I don't know why, but this one called out to me. I have been wanting an Oracle deck, another Oracle deck, for a while. I have a few on pre-order, but they're not here yet, and I've really wanted to work on bonding with another Oracle deck because I only have so many that I really gravitate to, and I just don't have a very big collection of Oracle decks because I'm just so picky. A lot of you guys know that I am just very, very picky and selective with my Oracle decks. I am not a fan of Oracle decks that just have like the words love, belief, wisdom. You know, I kind of need a little bit more to go off of, and I don't always just fall for the artwork, so it's kind of like, I don't know, I feel like I'm in this space of just trying to figure out what I want in an Oracle deck. So anyway, I decided to get this one when I was in Salem. There were so many decks to choose from, and I knew I wanted at least one Salem deck, and this is it. So this is a relatively newer deck. I think it came out a few months ago. I know a few people have shown it on TarotTube and done walkthroughs, which I am going to do like a little walkthrough today, kind of a quick one. But I mostly want to work with this deck and bond with it. So we're going to go ahead and open it up as slowly as we can. There we go. It does have this guidebook, which is very nice, a nice, decently sized guidebook. There's this extra paper that separates it from the cards. So this is pretty nice. I mean, I think it's definitely, the quality is good, it feels nice. There's a lot in here, so I like that. I think the whole beginning, up until this whole beginning section, is just like talking about the deck, talking about Oracle, and then the rest of it is meanings. So it's very sweet. I will say I've already looked through this. I've already flipped through the cards once before because when I got it, I wanted to do that. I wanted to do an interview with it. The energy that I got from this deck upon first asking, so when I did my deck interview, the three cards that came out for me were like basically the Mother, Maiden, and Crone. There is a card that is literally the Mother, Maiden, and Crone, but I specifically got three cards that sort of represent that idea, so I thought that was kind of interesting. So I'm not a fan of the box though, because they can slide around. I'm not a fan of that, but you know, it works. It does work. So the backs are very simple. It's just this like nice little pentagram. I do like that. I like that it's like, you know, that silver foiling. It's simple. It's not my favorite, but it's simple, and I think that it would look really cute, which I only have like my sphere here, but if you had like a crystal, you know, sitting on top, I feel like that'd look really cute for like pick-a-card readings. I also just feel like it'd be nice for charging the deck. I like to put crystals, I'll just put this one on too, like on top of my deck to charge, so I do think that that is something I would be interested in. It doesn't fan poorly, but not super well. As you can see, it's kind of clumping because it is that sort of matte, oh, I don't know what you'd call it, just that there's a certain kind of cardstock that sticks together, and I think the Archetypes Oracle that I have from Kim Kranz is the same sort of material, and it kind of clumps together. A lot of Oracle decks are just made this way. Spirit Animal Oracle that I have as well does this. So it's, you know, it's just how it is. It's not totally flexible, but not inflexible either. I can't remember if this deck does reversal, so I'm going to open up to the card meanings real quick and see. Yes, it does. It does have reversals, so that's cool. I do like that. I like when you can have multiple meanings for the same card. So yeah, those are the backs. I'm probably going to edge the sides in black at some point, but we're going to go ahead and just flip through them because I feel like that'll be very nice, very fun. We'll look at the artwork and stuff, and then after our little flip through, I'll talk about some of my favorite cards, and we'll go from there. So that was basically the flip through for this deck. There are 45 cards, which I feel is like pretty good for an Oracle, because I feel like anything less than like, well, anything around 30 or less is a little too light for me. So I do like that there's like just a bunch of cards. I also like how all these borders are a little bit different. So we have this card that is the Maiden, Mother, and the Crone, and I feel like this kind of compensates, or I feel like this kind of like embodies the deck's energy in all honesty, but this is not the card that it threw out during the interview. It threw out 3 different cards that represent the Maiden, Mother, and Crone. Like the Crone is right here, and then there was like another one for Mother and another one for Maiden, which I thought was really interesting. I know that that flip through was very quick, but part of the reason is because I didn't want to spend too long on it, and I've already looked at these cards before, so like coming back now I have different thoughts. I'm starting to like this one a lot more. I think, oh goodness, I really like how they have the like the sabbats, like the witches sabbats, over like on the cards. There's like Yule and Beltane, Ostara, Samhain. Like I really like all of that. I feel like it helps make this deck more of a year-round thing, because it could easily feel like, I think, a Samhain or Yule deck just because of how dark and mysterious it is. And there are definitely some like witchy cards, you know, like this is going to make me think of Salem because of it, which is kind of nice. But it's not just limited to that. So I really like how it's sort of kind of like a bunch of different like time. I mean, like this is spring, this is fall, you know. I like that it can kind of encompass the whole year. And like this is just super, super like October-y. I love that. So yeah, I didn't expect to get this deck, but I do like it. I have read with it a little bit, again, just for like that initial sort of introduction conversation. This is one of the cards I was really drawn to while on the trip, but I don't feel like I'm as drawn to it at the moment. But yeah, so I do think it's a very pretty deck. I haven't seen a lot of people talking about it like too much aside from flip throughs, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to shuffle it, and then I'm going to draw a card, and we're going to read from this book, and then you know how it is. We're going to go on, talk about things that are in the guidebook, and then just sort of do the work and practice. So I always knock on my decks, and since it does do reversals, I will not worry about that. I will say shuffling this deck is a bit harder. I do have to do it sideways. I cannot do it the other way. And then sort of, like I probably, I kind of bend the cards doing that, yeah. Yeah, I would say it's a little big. I don't like how big oracles can get. They're hardly ever sized well for my hand. And you can't usually use too many in a reading. So again, this is like standard oracle size, so I'm not going to complain too much. I'm just not happy with the industry standard, if you will. Ugh. Okay, I feel like I cut myself a little bit on that card, so I feel like it is kind of sharp in a weird way, or like very sturdy, but again, this is just industry standard cardstock, so don't want to knock it too much. Let me figure out what card I want. Okay, I don't know if you guys saw that. I was looking away. We actually have 2. Okay, we got 2 cards. Let's see what they are. Okay, 2 reversals. Great. That's always lovely. I love reversals. So I'm going to turn them upright. We have 40 and 41, probably because they were next to each other. So we have Lunasad, Forgiveness, and Justice, and then 41 is A Broom of Her Own. So we'll read both as reversals. Probably not a good look for me. I'm assuming this is like blocked energy or something. Alright, let's read this. Okay, so I've decided I'm not going to read it because it is kind of long, but I will hold it up like this, so if you want to pause the screen and read, go ahead, and I'm going to read it for myself, and then I will read the reversal meaning out loud. Okay, so the reversal of this card is refusal to say sorry, feeling that a relationship or situation is beyond repair, denial of the cyclic nature of time, making no attempt to restore what was damaged, a sense that you have little to say thank you for, that forgiveness may be beyond your capacity, a neglect of planning and preparing for what will come. I feel like half of that could possibly apply to my situation, though I don't feel as if I'm strongly connected. Again, this deck and I have some bonding, so I'm not going to be surprised that we are not on the same level. Though I do wonder if this is one of those situations where it's like working with the Mystical Fairy Tarot, where I was like, I don't think that applies. And then like a day or two later, I was like, oh yeah, that totally applied. It was like predicting the future for me, which was kind of weird. I usually don't use tarot to do that, so that was a little strange for me. So it could be one of those situations. I think the parts that stick out to me are a neglect of planning and preparing for what will come. I do have this sort of sense that things are going to get a little bit tougher, and I don't think I'm totally prepared for it. So the next card is A Broom of Her Own. It's the very next one. I'm going to go ahead and show you this, so go ahead and pause to read, just because I don't want to take up too much time reading all this out loud. And then I will do the back part. And then I'm going to go ahead and read it, and then I will read the reversal out loud and see if it is making sense to me. Okay, so I read those. They do feel very similar. I think the first one is more about preparing for darker times and reaping what you have sown, like you've worked hard. It's also about forgiveness, I think, and since it's reversed, it's about like not having that forgiveness. I don't really feel like that is what called out to me as much as the planning and preparation. This one is more about cleansing your space, cleansing yourself, and letting go of sorrow and troubles and such. And when it's reversed, the reversal says, stagnating energy that needs to be moved on but reluctance to do so, feeling that change cannot be created, that you must simply accept what is, saying go with the flow when there is no flow, denying a need to take action to create a shift through your participation, self-persecution from taking on too much responsibility for sadnesses in your life, a focus only on the personal, not seeing the bigger picture. I feel like I relate to this one a bit more than I do this one. I do see some overlap, again, about that cleansing your energy, preparing for what's to come, grieving what you have already lost or what has troubled you. This one's interesting about the stagnant energy. I personally don't feel stagnant. I do feel sort of like things are outside of my control. Like I lack control in my current situation, but I don't feel like I'm stuck, if that makes sense. So this is interesting that I have these two cards. I don't think they're totally spot on. I'm sure there's probably another card in the deck that would have hit better, but this is all about working with the deck. We have to learn each other's communication styles. Maybe there is something else this deck is trying to tell me. So I do think that those were interesting. I do like the way that the guidebook is written. I love that there are reversals. I'm so excited about that. I do think I resonate more with this card in like that there's like a few pieces, like feeling that change cannot be created, that you must simply accept what is. I feel like that's kind of where I am, because I do think that I feel like things are outside of my control. So this was day one working with the Solitary Witch. Alright, so I would love to call this like day 2, because that's kind of what it looks like for you guys, but it's actually like day 4 of working with the Solitary Witch Oracle deck. So the setting is a little bit different here because I didn't really want to do the reading in my chair, and I have a bunch of like little plants set up over on my table over here, so this is the witchy setting we get. So I have been working with this deck almost daily the last few days, and I keep pulling like the same cards. So I'm gonna see if I can find them real quick. So these are the 2 cards that I keep pulling. If you guys follow me on TikTok, I actually did like a day in the life sort of video, and this is the card I pulled. I've been getting these 2 a lot. So this is Lunisad, Forgiveness and Justice, and this one is A Broom of Her Own. So I keep getting these 2 cards and nothing else. So I feel like I'm just in this sort of like a very specific period of my life, and I feel like the deck knows that. So it hasn't really given me any other readings really, but I thought for today we'll try something new. And so I want to do one of readings in the guidebook. So I'm not going to do a big one. I think I'm just going to do the 3 witches spread. Okay, so it's basically a simple past, present, and future spread, but looking at it kind of like the ghosts of Christmas, past, present, future. You know what I'm talking about? Like looking at it like the witch of the past, the witch of the present, the witch of the future, and seeing what they have to tell you. So let's start. These cards are very big, so I will say shuffling with them is kind of challenging. So for the past, we have Spells of Rose and Cacao. Cacao? I am so sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. When I was in Spanish class, that's how my Spanish teacher pronounced it, was cacao, so I think that's how you say the plants, but it's like the plant that gives you cocoa beans, I believe. So yeah, this is it upright. Actually, I don't know. I'll have to show these like in like little images. You know, I'll put the images on the screen. So yeah, and I got it reversed. So we'll start there. I'm just going to read the reversal meaning, and then on my own, I'll dive into the more in-depth part of the guidebook, and I'll put close-ups again on the screen for you guys. Being unsure whether a true healing can take place, overwhelmed with what is ill, or sickened and saddened, a sense that it is too hard to find a way to reunite the generations, to have them work together, disharmony generationally within a family or social group, even a coven. That's interesting. Given the topic that I was talking about earlier this morning, about how I'm kind of repeating my father's patterns, and I think he was repeating his father's patterns, and so I'm part of this generational, cyclical sort of event. So that resonates. Okay, that's already resonating. That's cool. And it's not the same cards I've been getting. Ooh, this is new. We have the Beltane Lover for the present. That's cute. Okay, let me read the upright version of that. And again, we're going to dive into these once I read them a bit more. I'm so sorry for how mellow I am today. I'm not like as exuberant and excitable. Today I'm very mellow and very relaxed. I don't know, I'm just feeling really chill today. So, apologies if it's coming across kind of sleepy or spacey on screen. I don't know what it is. I'm just like vibing today, you know? Okay, so the Beltane lover meaning is honeymoon, time of romance, a lover, sensual pleasure, freedom to choose a lover, and to let them go if you desire. I view this as like the Lover's card, or like maybe even Two of Cups, but kind of like just the Lover's card in tarot, so... Okay, again, very on theme with the conversation I had earlier today, so I think that'll be an interesting conversation to share. It is one that's also very heavy and personal to me, so I may omit some details, but don't worry, I'll let you guys in a little bit. Ooh, okay. This is one of the cards that I was drawn to when I first saw the deck in Salem. It's the Witch's House. It is so cute. Okay, so fun that I'm drawn to that, and then I get it in a reading. I like that. Alright, let's see what it says. Wishing and dreaming, longing for a place to be completely of your own self, knowing it can be manifested, deciding to take the steps to walk the path of magic to bring about your heart's desire, a need for a magical space without intrusion or opinion on its appearance and contents, yours entirely. Interesting for the future. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and read these guidebook meanings and report back. So, I just got really confused reading the whole thing. Okay, but I was reading the longer descriptions of the cards, like, so the first part where it's kind of like story-like, and then the meanings again, to just see if there's any additional information I can draw from the passage. I am so confused. I read you the wrong thing for card number 27. So for the reversal of the past, I read you the wrong snippet, the meaning. And I was like, as I reread it, I reread the whole passage, and then I was rereading the reversal. So for the past, the actual meaning is a heart that feels little to protect itself, disbelief that sharing or ritual or magic exist anymore, a loss of the joy and magic of life, a fear of love, even a desire to love no more, a heart closed to others and to the possibility of deep love for the self, too much pain from rejection, relationships that curdle and become bitter. So it's more about like heartache. I'm thinking Three of Swords even, like maybe even like just a little bit of giving up, so Ten of Swords moment, just like giving up, things being over, losing that like luster for life and that joy for life. And obviously that to me makes me think of my like depression era. I don't know what to call that. I had like a really bad bout of depression a few years ago. So I'm like, okay, so themes from then are coming up now or affecting my current moment. And I do think that's possible, but I read the wrong thing, and I was like trying to find the one that I read, and I could not figure out what I was reading. I finally found it. I found the reversal I read to you, and that is for the card that is the Maiden, the Mother, and the Crone, which is essentially the card that this deck embodies. And I'm like, what the heck happened? Like, I could have swore I opened up to the right thing, like the right card. I don't know if this is like a bout of personal dyslexia that I struggle with dyslexia, guys. So I don't know if that's what happened, and I read 22 instead of 27 because it was card 22 that I read. But for whatever reason, I read the Maiden, Mother, Crone card. And that one honestly seemed to fit my current situation a little bit more than what I was reading here. This one seems very focused on love. So this reversal is saying that you come from a place where you feel like love can't be yours, you can't achieve it, you come from a place of sorrow. The middle one very much embodying the Lover's card in the tarot deck, just saying that like now's the time for abundance and love and self-love and exploration, being flirty and fun, which is very funny because Gemini is currently in my sector of inner child, inner healing, flirtiness, having fun, and not focusing so much on the weary and dreary parts of life. And then the last part, the Witch's House, which is like where you're heading, the future, is like this idea of being able to play and make your space however you want it, and to do the things that you enjoy and want without letting the world, you know, weigh on your shoulders. And so that's fitting. It's an interesting little theme that we have going here. But I'm just so startled by the fact that I, for whatever reason, read the Maiden, Mother, Crone meaning, specifically the reversal. And I felt like that one tied in more to a conversation I had earlier this morning, which was about cyclical patterns, generational struggles that have been passed down to me, and now I'm dealing with them, and ideally I would break the cycle and my children don't have to deal with it, but I honestly don't know. Like, this is not at all what I thought I was going to have a reading about, because I don't really have love on the brain at the moment, but this is very much a romantic reading. I do think that perhaps it's that, like, okay, time to get out of your cycle and go do something else, like create love and kindness and spread that and look at the world with more positivity and less negativity. And so maybe it's like getting out of the cycle in that way, but not at all what I expected. Don't know if it entirely resonates. I mean, it kind of does. It can. I feel like the other one would have resonated a bit more, but that's interesting. I'm just so confused as to what on earth made me read that. I'm gonna have to go back and watch this and see if I can catch myself. Like, I just am so confused. But yeah, I feel like this witch's house, I feel like it can represent me now in a way. I would love to be in a place where I feel very fulfilled and happy in life. And I kind of was for a while. For a while I was like, this is exactly where I want to be. I don't want to be anywhere else. I don't want to be doing anything else. And I was very, very content, and I don't feel like that anymore. I feel like now there's more that I want to achieve for myself, which is fine. We're all allowed to make new goals and to move forward and change our minds, but I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm so mellow today too, but interesting. I don't know if me and this deck are bonded yet, but interesting reading. So I'll catch you for the next one. Okay, so I have no idea what day it is working with the Solitary Witch Oracle deck, because I've been working with it for like the past few weeks now, and I haven't filmed all of it. I think the last time you guys saw me, which I know was like just seconds ago for you, but for me it was days. I think the last time I was kind of like mellow and out of it, and after that I've been hit with some pretty tough astrology transits, and my emotions have been all over the place. Like, I am going through it. Like, your girl is going through it. And so, if you know a little bit about astrology, some of the things I'm experiencing is Pluto on my ascendant as well as my natal Neptune. I'm also experiencing Saturn on my moon. And I'm also experiencing Mars conjunct my North Node. So, I mean, these are all conjunctions, but yeah, that's what's going on. So life is challenging at the moment, with all these more like malefic planets kind of like on my prominent placements. But anyway, I've been doing a lot of thinking about what I want, where I want to go with my life, and just like who I want to be. And so I haven't really been pulling the Solitary Witch Oracle. In a way, I've been pulling it because I try to do like a daily reading with it, but some of the readings just don't make any sense because I feel like this deck is more like a deck for taking space, taking time to yourself to regenerate. And a lot of the things that I've wanted to talk about are like my shadow work, emotional well-being, and career, because these are the things I'm kind of struggling with. And so I've been pulling other decks. Most notably my traditional RWS Capricorn deck, because he's great with career and stuff, and then also my Crow Tarot, because you guys know I love the Crow Tarot. So these are decks that I've been pulling a lot recently, and I haven't really been drawn to my Oracle, even though I have been using it like on and off for a few days. But anyway, for this particular moment, I thought it would be good to do a reading that's also in the book. So, I'm gonna pull it out. So there are quite a few spreads in here that I think were interesting. One was like a 10-card spread, I believe. This reading is called The Circle of Witches. So, yeah, I'm gonna read that, and we might do this one. With this spread, each of the cards represents a wise being. You can visualize them as women or men or just beings. That doesn't really matter. What does matter is that you can call on their counsel for all aspects of your life. I loved creating and working with this spread. It's come from a practice I've been working on privately for some time. There are lots of ways to think about this spread. Perhaps the wise witches are aspects of yourself, or ancestors stepping forward to speak with you in a circle. Or they may be wise witches who share their insights on an important aspect of your life throughout the reading. They will comfort you, inspire you, warn you, challenge you, and guide you. Shuffle your cards while contemplating your question. Cut the deck into 3, then back together they go. Before you lay out your circle, place one card in the center. This card represents you. You are at the very heart and center of the reading. You are here to meet with the circle of wise witches who offer up their counsel. Lay the following 9 cards in the shape of a circle. This is your circle of wise witches. You may wish to lay them out moving waitershins. Simply go with what feels right for you for this spread. See what difference the question makes to the direction you take. As we're all so unique, play the experiment a little bit to find your personal preference. Okay, great. So I'm going to try this Circle of Witches spread, and because it is so big, I don't want to spend too much time reading every single card, so I think what I'm going to do is kind of do it for myself, have my little thoughts, and then come back and reflect, because 10 cards is a lot, so I'll be back. Okay, so I have done the reading. It's over here, so if I'm looking in this direction, that's just why. I'm going to put pictures of the cards up on the screen, just so you guys can see what I'm looking at. This is a big spread, and I feel like half of it made sense. Well, maybe a little bit more than half made sense, and then like the rest of it just didn't really resonate with me. Which I feel like with this deck, that's just kind of how it goes. Sometimes it resonates really, really well, and sometimes it just doesn't. So that's been interesting. But let's go ahead and get into the spread and talk about it. So the first card is in the center of the spread, and it's supposed to represent you. And for that card, I ended up pulling the Blessing and the Banishing Candle. So I'm just going to read like the short snippet of what this card means and then kind of elaborate a little bit, but I didn't want to spend too much time reading card meanings. So first, it represents you, and the upright meaning of the Blessing and the Banishing Candle is finding balance, seeking harmony in life and within your own self, finding a way to embrace the changes life can bring, a sense that your wisdom is shifting, changing, yet becoming more truly your very own, a calm energy that accompanies you, drawing other beings who can trust in your energy. Wise yet wild, lighting the dark, warming the cold inside and outside of you. I kind of felt like this card to me represented more, it felt almost like Temperance-like to me, and a little bit Hanged Man-ish as like tarot cards. To me, this card, as far as like referencing me as, you know, being the card that is me in this reading, it felt like I need to be listening to my inner voice and seeking balance and letting go of things that just don't serve me in my current position, which I have been getting the Hanged Man a lot recently, and I do think that the universe is trying to tell me to let go of things in my life, and I'm just like not willing to do that yet. So, you know. So I kind of felt like that felt accurate enough. That was okay. The next card, which is card 1, is the Healer Witch. The Healer Witch shows you what you are working on, what needs to be healed, and what is in the process of being healed. And for that card I got the Maiden and the Imbolc Lamb. And the upright meaning of that is late winter, early spring, renewal, fresh, youthful, tender, maiden energy, open eyes and heart, fresh perspectives, replenishment, looking forward with optimism, new life beginnings, falling freshly in love with life. So when it comes to like what needs to be healed, what is being healed, I thought of inner child, so like the Sun card maybe. Just like working on inner child work, which is something that is kind of like an astrological theme for me for the rest of the summer. So that's going to be interesting. I'm being invited to have more play and fun in my life, even though I tend to just focus on work all the time. That's my Capricorn rising talking. But you know, so that felt also kind of like, yeah, that works. The next card is where we start to get into things that are a bit more difficult to talk about on camera. Like I said, I'm going through it, guys, and I don't want to be too personal on here, but I do want to share what this reading is about and like my personal thoughts on it, so we're gonna keep going, but it's gonna be rough. So the next card is the Seer Witch. She sees the future and how your destiny is being written, and she also offers advice on making the best of the circumstances revealed by the card. And for this one, I have it's Her Little Cauldron, and it's reversed. So this deck does do reversals, so that one was interesting. So the reversal meaning of this one for the Seer, as in, this is how your destiny is being written, yep, this is what could come, here's how to navigate it. It says, feeling dependent on others for a sense of power and self. Feeling that without powerful friends or clients, you have very little. Being surrounded by those whose material pursuits define them. A lack of reflection or connection. A disconnection from what is already yours. A need to find the riches that await you within. And I feel like this is definitely tied to all the career problems I've been having. I'm the type of person who wants to resolve my situation, and while spiritually sometimes I know that we're not here to make money, I also recognize I have to put food on the table. And my conversations with the universe have very much been like, universe, I need to eat to live. I need to pay my bills. Unfortunately, they exist. And the universe says, don't worry about that. Live a life of spiritual fulfillment. And I'm like, universe, we can do both. So it's kind of like this back and forth. But sometimes I worry that I'm going against like my higher purpose, higher path. And sometimes the cards give me attitude, which this deck is going to start doing. You're going to see it. Basically saying like, you don't have the right outlook. Now I know that this one also says feeling dependent on others for a sense of power and self, and being surrounded by those whose material pursuits define them. And I do have a lot of people in my life who are financially well off, at least compared to me. Okay, most people are probably financially well off compared to me at the moment, but in general, people around me have a lot of better finances. And so they are the ones kind of telling me that I need to get my life together and get my butt in gear, and telling me like, hey, you know, your dreams aren't working out, so you need to pick new dreams. And it's hard. It's a really tough situation, and not going into the details, so like, I know that some of you are going to want to give me advice, but I don't have the whole situation broadcast here on YouTube. I'm not telling you guys all the details, so there is some stuff missing. But the deck obviously thinks that I have a disconnection from my own gratitude, and I am also neglecting my spiritual side. The next card is the Witch of Endings. So this witch ushers what is over to the other side, therefore she will reveal what you can let go of. And as we kind of mentioned in the beginning, there's like this banishing that needs to happen around me right now in the center of this spread. So there is something I need to let go of. And the next card here was the card for the Witch of Endings is her knowledge runs deep, and it is reversed. So the reversal meaning of that is feeling that all learning must be experiential and practical, refusing to contemplate that which can be learned through the application of the mind. And again, I feel like the thing I need to let go of is my connection to the material world at the moment, that maybe I'm a little too invested in the material realm and I should be seeking like higher guidance and spiritual guidance. So again, it's like that push message again of like, you don't need to like focus so heavily on your career and job right now. You just need to work on things that fulfill you outside of work. Again, universe, I need to pay my bills. So it's been rough. But the Witch of Endings kind of implies that this hangman energy surrounding me is letting go of my attachment and perhaps my toxic relationship with material things and honestly the entire suit of pentacles if we were looking at it from a tarot perspective. So yeah, that I can see. As a Cap rising, I probably do have an unhealthy attachment with all that. Okay, so the next one is the Witch of Beginnings. So kind of like the Witch of Endings, this one is telling you like where the beginnings are for you and what you should be focusing on, what's new. And funny enough, I had this card earlier. This is the Lunisad, Forgiveness and Justice. I think we had this earlier when I first used this deck. It's one of the cards that keeps popping up from this deck for me, so that's always interesting. This one's reversed though, and it says, refusal to say sorry, feeling that a relationship or situation is beyond repair, denial of the cyclic nature of time, making no attempt to restore what was damaged, a sense that you have little to say thank you for, that forgiveness may be beyond your capacity, a neglect of planning and preparing for what will come. This entire one resonates, like, completely, for my situation. As, like, a new beginning, I definitely get it. I think that I'm being asked to kind of flip the card, in a sense, like, work through this more shadowy aspect of it, so the card can actually be focused on new beginnings and focused on gratitude and forgiveness of self and new perspectives. One thing, I think, like, honestly, like, almost every single sentence here just kind of resonated with me. Feeling that a situation is beyond repair, yeah, I feel like that was my entire career. Beyond that, like, the denial of the cyclic nature of time. I said this yesterday, but I feel like I'm kind of stuck in this cyclical pattern when it comes to the material realm, when it comes to finances, when it comes to job and my material things. I am stuck in this really toxic cycle, and I've been stuck in it since, like, 2019. I've learned a little bit from it, but I've also not, and I definitely think when Capricorn retrogrades back across my ascendant in Capricorn, like this summer, I think it's like this summer, and it lasts until 2024, I have a feeling these themes are really going to finally, like, you know, hit the nail into the coffin, right? Like, I feel like that's really when the lesson's going to be learned, It just sucks that it took years to learn. On top of that, the sense that you have little to say thank you for, I definitely feel like that is something that I am struggling with because I don't practice enough gratitude as I should. So card 5 is the Green Witch. So it's what can be grown at this time, what can you work on, garden, and give energy so that it blooms and grows. And so this is where I should be focusing my energy, which is a question I often have for these decks. And it is the Crone in Winter, and it's reversed. The reversal of this one, it says, avoiding what your inner wise old woman shares with you, being busy and distracted, fearing growing older, resisting discomfort although it can offer growth, and preferring excitement to connection and depth. And this one was interesting to me because like what can be cultivated and grown at this time, and I think it's like asking me to tap into that inner wise self, but also the fact that I'm busying myself and I'm distracted and I'm not focused and aligned on the path that is meant for me. I think my issue is, again, I'm trapped in this material reality and I'm too focused on the material reality. And I think I'm being pushed to focus more on the spiritual nature of life, and I'm just not doing that. I think it's also interesting that it says resisting discomfort, although it can offer growth. I am experiencing a lot of discomfort right now. I said that at the beginning of this particular day, and you know, it's tough because I feel like I am resisting it in a sense. I'm trying to find solutions before they present themselves for me. Perhaps I need to extend more trust into the process, into the universe as a whole, and I just don't. So I feel like that's kind of where I've been stuck. The next one is the Wild Witch, and this is where I start to kind of like lose the reading a bit, where it starts to not make as much sense. But the Wild Witch. This witch reveals traps, hindrances, and burdens that you don't need to carry. And we have the Comforts of Friendship reversed, which this one's very, very tiny. It says, feeling uncertain of who you can be with yourself with, and friendships that seem fragile and conditional. I don't have friendships like that at all. I am in a lot of good friendships where I do feel like I can be myself and I can express myself. Whether they agree or disagree is a whole different story, but I can always say what's on my mind. We can have different opinions, and that's fine. But I also like feel like I'm in a lot of deep and soulful connections. I don't really feel like any of my relationships are shallow. So this one's confusing to me, that something hindering me is friendships that seem fragile and conditional, because I just don't have any like that. So I'm not entirely sure where that's coming from. The next one is the Love Witch. This one was also confusing, but it's like she shows you how to heal your heart from times of sorrow and where to open your heart to times of joy. And so we have the Herb Garden, and this one, it's Her Herb Garden, and I actually pulled this one for a pick a card reading on my Indie Tarot Mystique Instagram page recently, so I have this one kind of fresh in my mind. But with it reversed, it says, thinking you could never grow anything, feeling a garden is too hard, too time consuming, buying ingredients without thinking of their source. And so it's like how to heal from times of sorrow. I think the part that sticks out to me is this one here, where it says, she sees the result of many years of quiet work. Some said this was an impossible garden, the wrong soil, too much wind, not even water. Nothing much could grow here, so they said, but she persisted and nurtured and tended and cared, and over time these elements were woven into a place that could support the green life she longed for. I do feel like a lot of people tell me I can't succeed and I can't do the things that I want to do. Like, it's funny, people tell me that they support me and that I can do these things, and then later in like the same breath they'll say, maybe you should just give up on the dream. And I feel that like all the time. I think about this a lot. It's something that I've been thinking about. I know that people try to give me their best advice and look out for me, and I know that I have not been a success. I am not a success story. If you think that, you're wrong. No offense to you. I'm not a success story. And so I haven't totally achieved all the dreams that I've set out for myself, and that's okay. I'm like 23, I've got a lot of time. But I think that I can be very hard on myself, and I tend to let people tell me that I'll never succeed, that I am doing everything wrong, that my garden will never prosper. So I feel like if this is about healing sorrow, maybe it's about like trusting that as long as I persist, things will work out. I don't know. That's hard. That's a hard topic. And this is something that I think really touches me and really gets me emotional, actually. But yeah, actually, it doesn't really relate to me in any romantic way or even like with friendships necessarily. I think this is something that I need to work on with myself, like a self-love moment, you know? Man, now that I've voiced it out loud, it's really got me thinking. The next one is the Star Witch. This one was a big one, like a big question to ask for an oracle spread. But it says, what is the highest perspective and destiny of your soul? Like, okay, life path, question mark. So I was kind of like, yeah, I do want to know my life path. I've been looking at astrology a lot recently for this very reason. And the card that I have is the Garden of Hollowed Moonlight. And this one's upright, finally. We've had a lot of reversals, so it's nice to have another upright one. And it says, seeking the beauty in the challenge, finding a way to nurture what most people cannot appreciate, spending time on what is difficult with great rewards to come, sharpening your senses and trusting what your physical eyes cannot always see, a certain keen awareness that comes only for the people who have made friends with the night, finding the Garden of Hollowed Moonlight in your life, a harvest of beauty, a gathering of success that others will not understand. You are watched over. And I feel like this wasn't any practical advice, but I feel like it resonates with me on like a soul level. Like, I have been looking at my lot of fortune or my part of fortune a lot, like today and yesterday, looking at my astrology, looking at my midheaven, trying to figure out like where my north node is and like what am I meant for in this life, you know, like what am I supposed to be doing? Because I feel like I'm making steps in so many different directions and some of them are right and some of them are wrong, and nobody, my tarot deck specifically, they don't want to tell me exactly where I should be heading, and there's no advice really on what to do. And I feel like I've been a little lost and confused because of that. And with this, like seeking the beauty in the challenge, oh my gosh, I just feel like the last few years have been so challenging for me. And some of it is like my own doing, like some of this I brought upon myself. And some of it, it's like outside circumstances that I just can't control. And it's weird like saying it like this on camera because like my whole YouTube journey has kind of like shown this in a way. And I've mentioned stuff like this before, and there's been a lot of stuff that's just happened off camera as well. But like my entire spiritual growth happened in the last few years. So, I don't know. But this card really touched me, like spending time on what is difficult, a gathering of success that others will not understand. I feel like that really resonates with the card we just talked about earlier, about like people not always seeing the vision. But if you persist to see the vision through, even if it takes 2 decades, I guess, to figure it out, then maybe you'll be okay. Because I feel like I've spent half a decade on my vision, and I have made progress. Maybe I'm not really focusing on the progress enough. Maybe this is like a 6 of Wands moments where I need to like appreciate my successes, and I just haven't been doing that. This tarot reading is so long, but we're on the last card. So the last one is the Coven Witch, and it's so unlike the Love Witch, this card is about how you interact with people, like coworkers and people you spend time with, but don't have a super close connection with. And this one is Look Closer, She Is Not Lonely, and I have it reversed. And this one says, too much human chatter, you have a deep need for stillness and connection. Fair. When it comes to like other people, I just apparently do not want to make any more friends right now. Yeah, I do think I am more introverted. I need to be more introverted. If I had to pick a card to describe me in the tarot, it's the Hermit or the Chariot, because I'm very ambitious, but I also like my alone time and self-reflection. So yeah, I was like, that's fair. Like, I feel like that's kind of a funny way to end the reading, because I was like, yeah, no, that's accurate. Sure, yeah, that's how I am with groups. But yeah, overall, this reading was really powerful, very strong. I think it's probably one of the best readings I've had with this Oracle deck, to be honest with you. I do think this deck has its time and place, and I don't think it's what I need right now in my current situation, because it lacks a lot of advice that I think I need, but it does have a lot of really interesting insight, and I think it's really good for people on like a solitary path, a solitary spiritual path, which I know I'm kind of on. So this was actually really, really sweet, and it's got me thinking about a lot of stuff now that I've like voiced it all out loud. So I think I'll probably do one more reading with this deck, and then that will close out our practice with it. Yeah. Okay, I have no idea which day this is for the Oracle working through, so I'm just going to put it up on the screen. Now I am counting by times I'm filming this, but I have actually been working with it like daily or almost daily for the last 3 or 4 weeks. yeah, I guess it's been a month. So anyway, this will be the last one that I'm filming for you guys, so we're just gonna do a simple 3-card spread and see what we get. For some context, this deck has been with me as I try to navigate my soul's trajectory, my higher path, higher purpose. I'm definitely in a judgment moment, but I'm also in like a fool moment, if that makes sense. Like on my altar right now, I have the Fool, I have the Page of Pentacles, and the Ace of Pentacles, because I'm really trying to find a way to have my material world, my finances align with my higher self, and I'm also trying to start new ventures. And so with that, I've recently started a new job. So this makes 3 jobs throughout the week, not including like my authorship, which I'm also doing. I have a lot of projects, but I am doing now multiple jobs for this, at least for the foreseeable future, because it's much needed. But anyway, yeah, so this deck has definitely been with me as I work toward that. Very much kind of like, are you in alignment? And I'm like, look, universe, we can only be in so much alignment. But no, it's been interesting. I am enjoying the new job, so that's good. And it's not like a huge commitment for me. Thankfully, it works around my lifestyle and schedule. It just probably means I'm gonna have my 10 of Wands moment at some point. We're just gonna do a simple 3-card spread. I don't really want to do like past, present, or future necessarily. I just kind of want maybe, I don't know, I'm not going into it with like a designated spread. I'm sort of just walking in trying to get 3 cards. So I'm gonna shuffle these, pull these off camera, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so I have my 3 cards. I have not flipped them over yet. The reason that I've been doing it off camera is just because I'm trying to save camera space, because I only have one SD card and I have not taken the other videos from earlier and put them on my laptop yet. So we're working with limited space here. So the first card is, I don't know what it is, the Maiden and the Imbolc Lamb reversed. The second card is Her Book of Shadows upright. And the last one is the 13th Espet, and it is reversed. And I also am doing a shadow card, and I have Her Little Cauldron on the bottom. So this will be interesting. I'm going to look in the guidebook and see what these are all about, because I don't know. For card 20, we have the Maiden and the Imbolc Lamb, and it's reversed. And the reversal meaning is introversion, stillness, potential stagnation, drowsiness, lack of movement, a sense of looking back, obsessing about the past, feeling that life has lost its allure, a sense that there will be no reawakening, that spring may never come to your heart, feeling cold towards yourself and others, being a little jaded with life. This one I feel like is partially accurate. Again, what I found with this deck after working with it for about a month is that it has its moments. There is a time and place for this deck, and I think this is a deck of like when you need advice, when you need stillness, when you need to do something solitary, like for self-care or for meditation reflection. I think this deck is really helpful. But if you're looking for momentum, fast moving, if you're looking for like ambition or like ambitious energy, if you're looking for that, this is not the deck. And I feel like I'm in a place right now where, because I started a new job and I'm, you know, working on new projects, I'm about to publish a book this year, like I'm working on finishing that. There's a lot of energy and momentum surrounding me, and this deck is a bit quieter, softer, more laid back. So I definitely feel like it has its moments where it relates and it doesn't relate, depending. For this particular one, the potential stagnation, lack of movement doesn't totally feel accurate to me. I do have a sense that I'm not moving in the direction of my highest good, but this is a necessary step to get where I can be moving in the direction of my highest good, if that makes sense. So I do feel like I'm looking at a lot of the stuff that I do now as like small commitments, like short-term things that will help me in the future that are necessary, but not necessarily like something that is going to change my life and, you know, be in my highest alignment, if that makes sense. I think sometimes we have to recognize that not everything that you do in life is going to be for your highest good. It's not always going to lead you towards your like life purpose and goal, that kind of stuff. But they are necessary steps. That's very much where I feel like I'm at in my life right now, is I'm on this like, I have to do these few steps before I can move on to the bigger things. So I don't know if I feel like I'm stuck or obsessing over the past or anything. I also don't feel like, I guess it could apply to past me, but I wasn't really looking at this spread as a past, present, future, so I don't know. The next card is her Book of Shadows, and the upright meaning for that is journaling, writing down the days and nights, recording dreams, understanding magics through writing about one's experience of them, keeping a book of shadows in light or grimoire. And to me, this sounds more like advice, like, hey, right now, maybe you should focus on journaling, writing down your dreams. One thing I'm so bad at is recording my dreams, and I have so many dreams every night, and sometimes my dreams end up happening in real life, so I get like deja vu moments. It's like a weird psychic energy that surrounds me when I sleep, so it's kind of like in my dreams, that's when that energy is on overdrive for me, and I really should spend more time writing them down every morning, but I get caught up in the details, wanting to list every single thing that I saw in the dream, and then I burn out from recording the dreams, because then it takes me like 20-30 minutes to write down what I saw, because I have so many dreams, where I should just be taking note of the big things, or just making notes that will help me recall the dream later. But I don't know, I haven't figured out a plan for that yet, because I feel like I want to write down all the details so I can look up the dream symbolism, but then I burn myself out on it. But it could be something that I should start, and journaling is something I have kind of put on the back burner the last few weeks because I've been so focused on the material aspect of my life. So how is my home? How are my finances? How is the people in my life, like physically with me? Like I've been focusing on a very much Pentacles realm, and I've kind of neglected all the other realms. So the next card I got was the 13th Espit. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, I have no idea. And it's reversed, and that says, feeling alone without connection with others, wishing there were easy ways to open up, vulnerability may be difficult at this time. I don't really feel that. On camera, sure, I don't like being too vulnerable on camera, but like with my friends and family, I've been seeing everybody, and like I've been talking with my mom, I've been hanging out with a lot of friends and family. I've been very vulnerable and open with them. So I don't really feel like this applies at all to me. Maybe like via YouTube or like online, because I haven't really been posting much online recently. And that's because I've very much been in this place where I'm trying to get my life together. So I haven't felt like posting as much online. So maybe, I don't know. Again, this is where I'm like, this deck sometimes hits on the mark and sometimes doesn't. The last card is my shadow card, so something that I'm not seeing, something that I'm neglecting, and it is card 37, Her Little Cauldron, and it's upright, and the upright meaning is in service but not in servitude, beholden to none, traditions within spells, magic, and family, walking a different path, one of freedom but also of challenges, choosing the right path despite its difficulties, maintaining independence, being powerful, power not given nor based on material goods, certainty of who you are, what you do, how you do it, and why, quiet authority that lets the forest and animals know you as a witch and friend. And I think this comes back to a lot of my cards recently have been very disappointed in my focus on the material realm. A lot of my cards want me to dip into the spiritual realm much more, and they want me to be connected to my higher purpose and higher path, and they want me to be focusing on meditation, my spiritual beliefs, finding mentors and stuff like that. And it's been a very interesting challenge, because for the past few years I've very much had a hands-off approach with my life in a way. Like I've just been like, universe, give me whatever you need to give me. I will trust in you. You will provide, you know, like God will provide, that kind of thing. And I'm using God in like, not in the Christian form, I guess, but very much just like creator, like you will provide for me, right? And that's been my spiritual take, and it's worked, kind of, but it's gotten to the point where I need to have more control over my situation, because I keep finding myself struggling really hard, which I do know that this says walking a different path, one of freedom but also of challenges, choosing the right path despite its difficulties. And I feel like I'm choosing the wrong path because it's easier, and that's literally just because I got a third job. That's what this is all about in my head. I could be very wrong, but it's really hard because I know that this is like a shadow card for a reason. Like, you know, power not given nor based on material goods, certainty of who you are, what you do, how you do it, and why. And I'm very much trying to balance living in this material world while also balancing that spiritual need and fulfilling myself spiritually as well. So it's kind of difficult to balance both. Again, I've kind of given up my weekends now for another job, so I can exist in this material world and survive in it. But at the same time, I do think that because I've been so focused on it, I've been neglecting my spiritual needs. So maybe this is like asking me to dive into that a bit more and focus more on Indie Tarot Mystique, which if you guys know about it, whether you know about it or not, I'll leave my Instagram handle on the screen, but I have Indie Tarot Mystique. It's a small business where I do tarot readings. I have been thinking about putting it online. Still, I just keep thinking about it. You know, like it's one of those things I haven't like launched yet. So we'll see, but launching it now would be difficult because I have a book coming out this year and because I have this new job that I'm trying to get used to, which thankfully it is only on the weekends, so that's very helpful for me. And this job has so much positive energy around it. It's not very stressful, it just takes up a lot of my time. I do feel like I'm kind of battling that, trying to exist in the material human world while also feeding my soul and, you know, working towards my highest good. So this shadow card hits me a little hard because it's frustrating to know that my decks don't always support the material things in life. It does kind of hit me, like, you know, certainty of who you are, what you do, how you do it, and why. That is like, I'm gonna probably write that one down and put that somewhere because that one is hitting me right now. So anyway, I hope that this helped you get a better experience of the Solitary Witch Oracle. I hope this helped you think about it, see the art. Maybe if you are interested in this deck, I do recommend it. I do think this is a fabulous oracle. The only thing that I don't like about it is there's no keywords on the card, so I can't really use this for client readings until I'm very, very well versed in the cards themselves, which may or may not happen. But for myself, I do find this to be a very like pleasing deck, a good deck. I really enjoy it. I do think it has kind of like that shadowy aspect to it. I love shadow work. I think it kind of dips its toes into it, but not a lot. So it's not like very confronting, where I would prefer a more confronting deck. So my Archetypes Oracle deck by Kim Krans, 100% my shadow work deck. Like that has stayed, it will stay. This, though, I think will be nice for taking a step back, appreciating the seasons a lot more, and the small things in life. I think this deck, while it urges you to work towards a more fulfilling future for your higher self and your highest good, I do think that it also focuses on the simplicity, which I very much value, at least in my current position. Working with it for an entire month has been interesting. I feel like I'm not entirely pleasing the deck myself in my actions, but at the same time, I do think that it's helped me to kind of slow down, calm down, and really look at life in a different way. In a more solitary and spiritual way as far as like being connected to nature and such. So overall, I really like this deck. Working with it, I think we've kind of bonded, but like I said, it's kind of hit or miss. Some cards really, really resonate and other ones just don't. So I am still going to keep working with it, but I am ready to move on to another oracle at some point because, yes, I need a break from the Solitary Witch. So, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoy these working with videos. I do plan on making more, so if you guys are interested, let me know if you want to see any particular deck that I can work with. It could be one that I own or one that I don't, but just, yeah, if you have a recommendation, put it down in the comments below, and I will try to get to that. So, anyway, thank you again for watching this video, and until next time, I will catch you.